Hey, how's it going? I got a video today about mail-in ballots. If you watch my videos, you probably remember I did a video on some local matters for St. Pete, some elections, some referendums, and charter amendments. Main reason I did that was because I got my mail-in ballot, and so I thought, hey, why don't I make a video talking about how you can get yours? Now, luckily, it's a very simple process for the whole state of Florida. So this video is going to be for, how to get a mail-in ballot if you live in Florida. Uh, and so the main article I have here actually is Bainey's 9. They have a pretty straightforward way to how to do it. I'm just going to kind of go through it, and I'll provide links for this and other resources in the description. And let's go ahead and get into it. So one important distinction, or one important thing that I didn't even realize was that uh, there isn't any difference between a mail-in vote and an absentee vote. It's basically the same thing, which I didn't realize that they had changed this terminology apparently back in 2016 too. So that's interesting. But yeah, anyone can vote, and all you need are these four things right here. You need to fill out an online application. Uh, so you might have to request one in writing. You might have to go to your elections office, or you can call the election office. So it depends on, I guess it depends on your county. And best way to figure out what option you have to do is to, you can click this link. I have it already open right here. Oh, that's this link right here. This links all the counties for Florida. So for example, I'm in Pinellas County. And so I have the web address here for votepinellas.com. If I click on that, it'll take me to the page where I can check my registration status, register to vote, request a mail-in ballot. So for here, it's just an online thing. You can check your precinct to see where you can go to physically vote. Volunteer to be an election worker. But what's kind of cool about this site is you can actually see active registered voters, which this is for Pinellas County, kind of a purple county, you could say, and the party identification pretty much neck and neck, although heck of a lot of independents there, or non-partisan, or I wouldn't say non-partisan, but just independent voters, not aligned with any party. As far as I know, I think this trend is similar with all of Florida, where the gap has been narrowing over the last 4+ years. So that, should be scaring the Florida Democratic Party for sure. They need to work on their messaging, it would seem. So, yeah, it's a pretty simple process. You would go here, you type in your information and so forth. And obviously there are, I don't know how many counties. There's a lot of counties in Florida. So you just, if you're in Volusia County, I'm sure it's a similar process. It's not loading, so I'm just going to go ahead and leave it at that. You can also, you can bypass this whole page and just simply Google, like say there's Volusia elections. You can still just Google where if you know your county. I mean, I would assume the majority of people know the county they live in. You can just Google supervisor of election. That's basically what you do, and pretty similar breakdown here. Pretty similar. A lot of non or independent voters. That's really interesting, and I might actually go through some of these websites later on just to see some of the different statistics. But anyway, so you do that information, you can request your ballot. On top of that, you can also just simply register, from what I can tell. Yeah, you can register to vote. That's really important. You want to make sure that you are registered. Because you have to be registered in order to request a ballot. A lot of countries, they have a automatic registration system where the moment you hit 18, you're automatically registered to vote. You don't have to go through any, jumps or whatever. You don't have to do a whole lot. You're just automatically there. That's what this page is about here, which I'll also link in the description. But it's how to check your status. It'll show you some important websites that help you determine whether or not you're registered, and will help you register if that's what you want to do. Of course, this other page right here, this page here will also show you the links to all of those counties sites if you want to register. So very important, you have to register. Also important is the timing of all this. So you want to request a ballot 10 days before the election, at least, although they're saying here 15 days. That's cutting it real close, in my opinion. I would go, personally, I'd go at least a month out. I would say you don't want to wait until the election's right around the corner to get a primary ballot or to get a vote by mail ballot. You just want to do it ASAP. It's also worth noting that your primary election ballots will be different depending on how you are, depending on your party alignment. So for example, let's go to this page here. So in terms of primary elections in Florida, there is a primary election ballot that comes out for federal offices, president, usually comes out, several months before the general election. And as far as I know, the way that primary elections work in Florida is that you can only vote for a member of your own party. So basically, if you aren't in a party, you don't have any say in the primary election. So only Republicans, for example, can determine who the Republican nominee will be for the Florida Senate, for the federal Senate, or for representative or president, so for example, like in 2016, the Republicans of Florida they chose Trump as the candidate, and 2016 Democrats in the primary election chose Hillary Clinton as a Democrat. So it's determined based off of which party you're in, and so essentially anyone that is an independent is locked out of that process. There's a good conversation to be had as to whether or not that should be allowed. For example, a number of these independents may have voted for Trump, or they may have voted for Clinton or Biden or whoever, but they're completely locked out. And so the only way to have an impact on primary elections is to be a member of one of the two parties. So I do stress, if your political leanings, if it falls under one of these two categories, which I would say probably 99% of the time it does, it's probably worth just being in that party so that you can at least try to steer it in the direction that you think is best, and that's why that's my recommendation. Of course, you can, when you're registering, you can determine your party your party alignment. You can also, if you can update your registration, and at least for Pinellas County you can. And sometimes you have to actually print out some paperwork and then mail that in. Certain counties do it differently, but you can do that to change your party preference. And that's an important note on that. So you want to make sure you're registered. You want to make sure you request a ballot well in advance of the election. So right now it's October 10th, 2021. I don't think it has it in here. All right, November 2nd is the general election for things around in St. Petersburg, at least. And I think that the same goes probably for most other elections in the country. I know there's a couple of gubernatorial elections. There's a lot. Every state has something different. Next year, for example, around this time, we will be voting for governor and for senator. Marco Rubio is up for re-election, and Ron DeSantis is up for re-election, I believe. Also, Nikki Fried, I forget her name, the Attorney General. All those state executive positions are all up for re-election, and so next year will be surely a bigger year for Florida politics, which we'll be covering on this channel. I can't remember the Attorney General name. But anyways, see, to request mail-in ballot, yeah, you want to have all this information, of course. Name, address, date of birth. The address determines, what you're voting on, obviously. So you want to have that driver's license, identification card, social security information. Your signature is an important thing. I talk about it later on down here somewhere. And if your mail-in ballot signature doesn't match one on file. So on the back of your mail-in ballot, I'm gonna stop sharing for a second. So this is my mail-in ballot. I hope my camera's not the best. So you can see voter signature, a whole bunch of stuff. And so you want to make sure that that signature is, your most genuine signature. And if it's not, they're going to contact you through your email, cell phone, or whatever to try to get a hold of you to make sure that it's yours and not tampered with. Another thing worth noting that they also mentioned in the article is that sometimes you don't need a stamp. So like right here it says no postage necessary. Some counties, they cover the costs. So definitely want to keep an eye on that. Let's go back to all right. So and then also if someone's requesting a ballot on your behalf, they need to have the following: request address, requester's driver. So someone can basically they could request your ballot for you. Although you're gonna have to have a lot of sensitive information, of course. An interesting thing too is whether or not somebody can deliver the mail-in ballot for you. This has obviously been kind of a hot button issue since the 2020 election. So I think there is new legislation now that if you are delivering multiple ballots, they have to be family members, immediate family members. And I guess you can deliver two that aren't. So there's that. But I'm assuming you're delivering these to the supervisor of elections. Let's see. Do you have to send in your vote? Well, when you have to send in your vote by mail? So the supervisor of elections must receive the ballot by 7 p.m. on election day. Now this year it's November 2nd. Of course, it's vote by mail, and some counties you don't have to pay for postage, so might as well just fill it out. You probably want to send it in, a week or two ahead of time. But you don't want to do it too early because you never know. Sometimes politicians drop out. Sometimes situations change. Although that's not all the time, but you probably don't want to rush it, but you don't want to delay too much because so customers who opt to vote through the U.S. mail must understand their local jurisdiction's requirement for timely submission of absentee ballots, which also include vote by mail ballots. ESP said in a statement released to Spectrum, voters must use first-class mail or an expedited level of service to return their completed ballots. Is mail the only way to send in a vote by mail ballot? You can drop it off at the elections office, and all counties will accept vote by mail ballots at early voting locations. The stamps, it depends on where you live. Some counties don't. I mean, it should say on, either on the front or in some of the information pamphlets that are inside the envelope. You can actually check the status of your ballot by entering some information on the Florida Division of Elections website. I've actually done that before, just to see and test it. Because I've kind of wondered if, because my signature is it's pretty much been the same forever, but I always wondered if it looks too much like a scribble, and maybe they'll deny it. I've kind of checked to see, and they actually show you that it's been accepted or whatever. So mail-in ballots usually counted before all the in-person ballots, despite common myths that suggest otherwise. That's interesting. I wonder if this is just for Florida or if that's just in general. Let's see, can you change your vote on a mail? I say if you submit your ballot and you decide you made a mistake, that's that. That's kind of what I said before. You might not want to send it in too early. What if my vote by mail? Oh, yeah. Okay, so that's pretty much it. So yeah, I'll leave the sources or the resources in the description. I would say it's important to vote. I know I always mention in my videos on elections that people, they tune in for the presidential election and then they check out immediately afterwards. But you know, voting on what happens in your state and your county and your city is very important. For example, like this year it's an off year, and turnout drops to 20% or below, which is horrible in my opinion. But there, at least for St. Petersburg, where I'm from, there's a lot on the ballot. I mean, we've got 9 charter amendments and a mayoral election. These are, policies and politicians that will change, that could change the course of where the city is going and the ideology governing those decisions. And so, and this happens around, not just around the state, but around the country. And a lot of people just don't pay attention. And a lot of people might get upset when things don't work out the way that they want them to, but so many just don't, pay attention to what's happening around them. And so I think it's important to, like you want to be interested in what's happening on the federal and national level, but you have to keep an eye on your own community as well. You should want to, because sometimes a lot of the changes that you might want can happen right there at home. And so I strongly urge anyone watching, if you're in Florida, if you're in any state, register to vote, vote in your elections. And even though sometimes it might seem like not a lot's happening, not a lot's getting done, just keep voting. Keep voting for the policies and politicians that best represent your views, and don't check out, because the moment you check out, it's worse. It just gets worse. Nothing's going to get better if people all check out, and I feel like that's a trend that we've been going on to for probably decades at this point. Although, like, the last few years, I've obviously seen some higher turnout than normal, especially the last 4 years. But odds are the turnout won't stay that high. So definitely register to vote, and pick up a mail-in ballot if you want, or register for a mail-in ballot if you want. Register in person if you want. Just as long as you vote, that's the important thing. So thank you for watching. Feel free to like and subscribe, or throw some comments out there if you want. Start a conversation. If you need any help, feel free to leave a comment or a message. I'll I can certainly dedicate the time to help. So yeah, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.